This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Whether you need a domain, website, or online store, make it with Squarespace. Hey everyone, Ace of Clay here, and welcome to another sculpting video. In this one, we're making a scarecrow. Now, technically, fall doesn't start in the northern hemisphere until September 23rd, but I don't care. We're gonna start it now with this scarecrow sculpture. So grab your pumpkin spice lattes and let's get started. Okay, first step, armature. We're just gonna build a nice little base for our scarecrow from aluminum foil, and then we're gonna cover this in clay. And as always, all of the materials and tools that I use in this video are listed in the description box below, along with my affiliate links if you want to purchase anything. Alright, now we're just gonna cover everything in clay like I just mentioned. We will be using Super Sculpey Original for the entire sculpture. I got these nice thin sheets of clay by running the clay through my pasta maker on the thickest setting. And no, I do not use my pasta maker to make pasta, it's only for clay. Alright, now as you saw there, I just poked a bamboo skewer into the center of the base, and this is going to be the post, if you will, that will hold up the scarecrow, and then I just wrapped some aluminum wire like so and brought it out at the top to create the arms. And now we are just bulking out the torso and arms with aluminum foil. I'm bulking the arms out with foil just because they have to be really light. I don't want to make them out of pure clay because if I do that, then they'll probably droop in the oven. So this is keeping them as light as possible. And then before I get any further, I just want to attach some wire for the legs. I'm attaching this the same way as I attached the wire for the arms. Now we're bulking those out as well. And now it's time for some more clay. Once the entire body is pretty much covered in clay, I'm just going to bend the arms into the position that I want them to be in. And normally you should shape the wire before you add the clay to it, but in this case I wasn't worried about destroying anything, so I was able to bend the arms after I added the clay. Well, that doesn't look very comfortable, does it? Moving on, we're just adding some more clay to complete the post that's holding up our scarecrow. Does this make perfect sense? No, not really, but I just kind of want to create a look that the post is sort of embedded into the scarecrow's back. So I think I'm kind of achieving that. I don't know, but in the end it looks fine. Now we're just going to bulk out the stomach area a little bit more with just a little bit more clay. Now the pants, adding some more clay to those, smoothing everything out as much as possible. Now I'm going underneath each arm with some snakes of clay that taper at each end to make it look like the sleeves are sort of sagging downward. Once the base structure is looking pretty good, it's time to start the fun part, the folds and wrinkles. I'm just going in with some snakes of clay, adding them to the surface and blending the edges in with everything else. And like I've mentioned in previous videos, I'm not just randomly placing these snakes anywhere. I am looking at how the fabric would fall if it was in this position. So if you're new to this and you want to get a better idea for what fabric looks like, I would actually recommend taking a sheet or something and throwing it over a chair and just kind of using that as a guide. And we're just gonna keep going crazy with the folds and wrinkles on his pants. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Now let's take a short intermission and enjoy this cute little grasshopper I found outside my house. Alright, back to work. Now I want this to be a pretty classic looking scarecrow design, so we're going to give it overalls. So we're just going ahead and adding those now. Alright, now that the top part of the overalls has been attached, I lost a lot of the creases and folds that I put on initially after adding that sheet of clay, so I just refined things a little bit and then tore the edges of that rolled over piece to make it look a little more like ripped fabric. Now I'm just rolling the textured area of my sculpting tool all over the surface to create this nice fabric texture. It's super easy and super effective. And then to create some ropes to tie the scarecrow to the post, I'm just using this long snake of clay that I folded over, and I am twisting it together to make it look like a rope, and then we're going to add it to the figurine. And now it's time for the hands. I want this to have very long, creepy hands that look like they're made of hay. So I'm just going to create the structure for them out of some floral wire like so, wrapping it together and then pinching the tip with my pliers so it's nice and pointy like everything else. Then I'm just trimming that, and I'm going to repeat this process 4 more times so that this thing has 5 fingers. Now that I have all the fingers made, I'm just going to wrap them together at the bottom with another piece of wire. Spread them out a little bit, and then attach the thumb a little lower. Then once the armature for the hand is looking pretty good, and I've added another piece of wire to the bottom to be able to attach this to the armature on the figure, I'm just adding some clay to create the back of the hand and palm. And then I'm adding some more clay for the base of the thumb. And then to create the straw effect, I'm just going to add some random, very skinny snakes of clay all over the place, sort of tangling them together to make these nice creepy hands. That's looking pretty good. Let's keep going. And the first hand is done, and I'm going to create the second hand off camera. Ta-da! Alright, not bad. Now moving on, I'm just going to take my Explorer tool to further detail the hands. Just add some vertical lines here and there. Push the detail like so. And then to pre-bake the hands, I moved an oven rack all the way to the top of my oven and then tied the wire from the hands to it so they can hang down without touching anything. This is a cool little trick I like to use to make sure nothing affects the shape of the object I'm curing. Then once they're baked and completely cooled down, they're looking pretty good, and it's time to attach them to the sculpture. I'm just wrapping the excess wire around the wire armature of the arms. Then once those hands are nice and secure, we're just going to finish off the sleeves by adding some more clay that looks like it is drooping downwards. And of course, we're going to add some more folds and wrinkles. And then I do the other arm off camera because it's the exact same process. Now to finish them off, I'm just adding some more straw around the wrists, and we're good to go. Now I'm just going in with my cone color shaper to refine things a little bit, and then we're going to finish off the back of the overalls. And then move down to the pants. I want the pant legs to look like they are stuffed, of course, and then tied at the bottom. So I just shaped out that sheet of clay and distressed it a little bit and then attached it like so. And we're just repeating that process on the other side. And we're going to finish this off with some more rope. but not before we add more texture. Once the rope's looking pretty good, we're just going to finish off the strap on his overalls, like so, and then add a nice little button to finish it off. Now I just want to go in and add some pieces of straw poking out from rips in the Scarecrow's clothing, so I'm just covering a scrap piece of foil like so, attaching it to the figure, and then texturing it with my Explorer tool. I thought that the thin snakes of clay would look good, but the Explorer tool effect looks better. And we're just adding some in a couple different spots. Now for some more detail, we're adding some patches, two to be exact, like that, and then adding a little stitching effect. And then for another detail, I just covered this piece of floral wire with some clay, and I'm going to place it under one of his arms to make it look like it's sort of ripped off. Not bad, we're moving along. I do want this to be a classic Scarecrow, but I also want it to be creepy, so to play up that creep factor a little bit and give this pretty generic design a spooky twist, if you will, I'm going to add a bunch of these tentacle-shaped thorny vines coming up from the ground around the Scarecrow. This doesn't make any sense now, but it will in a minute. But before I finish creating the vines, I'm just going to texture the base with some aluminum foil. This is super easy and super effective. That was taking too long, so we're just going to grab a bigger piece of foil and finish texturing this thing. And yes, I have tons of random pieces of aluminum foil all over my workroom. Alright, now we're just going to texture the first vine with our Explorer tool, just creating these nice vertical lines. Then to attach it, I'm creating an indent with my large ball stylus, adding a toothpick to the bottom to reinforce the connection after adding some bacon bond, and then poking it in like that. And we're just going to repeat this process to create several tentacle vines. Oh, and then I'm also going to add the tips of toothpicks to the vine to create the thorns. So, also with that being said, if anybody needs toothpicks without the tips, hit me up. Now I'm just going to add a couple more smaller vines that are just solid clay. Don't need to bulk these out because they're so small. Wow, not bad. Moving on, let's start the head. The head for our Scarecrow is going to be a pumpkin, so I just shaped out the core from aluminum foil right there, and I'm covering that in clay and making it a nice pumpkin shape, inserting a bamboo skewer into the bottom. And now we are going to create the surface of the pumpkin, and I'm just creating these flat oval shapes that I'm adding to our base like so, and then just pressing them in. This is going to create the main lines on the pumpkin. Or the ribs, if you want to get technical. Then I'm just going to go and add some more pieces and work my way around the entire circumference of the pumpkin. And it starts to look like a beach ball, but don't worry, it looks like a pumpkin in the end, I promise. Ta-da! Now it looks like a pumpkin. But we're going to take things even further with our wedge color shaper and press in some more ribs. Now that the surface of our pumpkin is done, it's time to add the face. I'm just shaping out the triangle eyes with a small ball stylus, and then I'm going to use 20 different tools to press them in like so. Just creating a nice indent, and like I mentioned earlier, this is a spooky scarecrow, so I want the face to be kind of scary looking. Once the eyes are done, we're just going to go in and create a nice little texture inside each one, just to heighten the details a little bit. Now we're just going to use the other end of our Explorer tool to press out the mouth. Now we're going to add a couple more details. And the head is done. Not bad. And we're ready for the first bake. We're going to bake the body and the head separately. Then once everything's baked and completely cooled down, we're going to add a nice little stem to the top of the pumpkin. Then let's see, do we like this curly piece of vine? No, we don't. Now we're just going to attach the head, add a little bit of bacon bond, and then stick it on that skewer. And then finish off the neck a little bit just for some added reinforcement. We're later going to texture this to look like wood. Yep, there you go. Now we're just adding some more clay to be straw coming out from under his head, texturing that. Then we're going to give him a nice little bandana. This is just a sheet of clay through my pasta maker on the 5 setting. It's pretty thin, but we're doubling it up in some spots, so I'm not worried about it being super breakable. Now we're just finishing off the post in his back with some more clay, shaping that out and texturing it like so. Now let's add some more straw poking out. And he's ready for his final bake. And as you can see there, I added some more toothpicks to the base just to make it even more pokey looking. Now we're just going to paint the base once everything is completely cooled down, and we're just going to cover it with some solid pure black. All of the paints that I use in this video are folk art acrylics, by the way. Then once the base is done, we're just going to paint his shirt using some barnyard red, warm white, black, and titanium white to create this peachy color. Then that's a little too peachy, so I add a little more black to dull it out a little bit. And I want this thing to be so desaturated that it almost looks black and white. Now we're just going to go over everything with a black wash, and a wash is just adding some water to your paint, like so, and I'm just brushing it on the surface and wiping off the excess, trying not to destroy everything. Then once that wash is on, I'm just going in with some dark gray into all of the nooks and crannies just to heighten the detail a little bit. And then we're going to go and add some true blue to that dark gray color just to give this thing some more dimension. Then once all of the recessed areas have been darkened, I lightened the shirt color with some more warm white, and we're just dry brushing that onto the surface. Now we're just going to shade things a little bit more with some more of that black wash. And then we're going to start the overalls. Then to make this color for the overalls, I just mixed some true blue with warm white and black. Then once that's dry, I'm just going to dry brush some red violet onto the raised areas of the overalls, just to give it a little bit of a purple tinge. Now we're going to go in with some more black wash to darken some areas. And then I lightened the blue for the overalls with a little bit of warm white, and I'm just dry brushing that on like that. Then we're going to start the bandana. I'm making this a nice dark red color. This is just barnyard red mixed with a little bit of pure black. And then for the straw, I mixed some yellow bright with pure black and warm white to get this nice mustardy color. And we're getting there, almost done. Once all of these straw areas are dry, I'm just going to add some more black wash to the surface of those, just so it settles into all of the nooks and crannies and really brings out that detail. Now for the pumpkin, I just mixed the color glazed carrots with some warm white, a little bit of pure black, and yellow bright to get this nice desaturated orange color. Then now I'm just dry brushing some glazed carrots alone over the surface just to brighten things a little bit. And then we're going to paint the eyes and the mouth with some black. Then we're going to paint the stem brown, and this is the only clip I have of that where you can actually see what I'm doing. Now we're just going to paint the rope brown, do the patches. Then for the final step, I'm just going to dry brush some red violet, yellow, and light gray onto the surface of the base just to bring out those details really nice. Almost there. And he's done. Our scarecrow, our spooky scarecrow, is complete. Let me know what you think in the comments. that's a wrap. I really hope you like how the scarecrow turned out. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know how you think I did in the comments. Now, before we wrap up here today, I just want to talk a little bit about our sponsor, Squarespace. If you're looking for a way to start your own website, whether it's for your portfolio, your business, whatever, Squarespace has you covered. I personally signed up with Squarespace to make the new aceofclay.com several months ago before they even reached out for a sponsorship, and I've seriously been loving it ever since. I picked a template that was perfect for my needs, popped in my content, transferred my domain, and it was so easy. Whether you want a website that's straight to the point like mine or something more elaborate, Squarespace has awesome templates crafted by their world-class design team to meet your every need. And this is in addition to their hundreds of customizable settings. And if you need it, they have email support available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if all of this sounds good to you, head on over to squarespace.com to start your free trial, and then when you're ready to take the leap and push your website live, go to squarespace.com/aceofclay to get 10% off your first purchase. And as always, thank you so much for watching and being here. If you liked this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter @aceofclay, and I will see you in the next one.